Welcome in. That's our groovy new intro. We are the Believe in Georgia Dawgs podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. And judging that reaction from my man Israel Troupe.
Wait a minute. By short, you mean none whatsoever.
Yeah, it's short. It's short.
You got me with that one. Yeah,
we get right into it, man.
You said we have a shorter intro. I was like, all right, maybe one clip. There's nothing there. Wow.
It's just a little bit of music, and we're the main event. We got to draw the curtain back. We're the main event, man. We get straight to it. There's no opening act.
Thanks, ESPN. Yeah, we're real cool now. We're just straight to it now.
Yeah, I might just throw the middle finger up to ESPN and just say, let's roll back to the other one. I might just go grab a national championship clip just to stick it to them.
Man, we're gonna have to be like Skip and Shannon now, man. We're gonna start going at each other's neck from here on out.
Yep.
What do we have to look forward to other than the intro now? I mean, come on, guys.
I know exactly what's going on here. This is what's up with this tomfoolery, YouTube.
Exactly.
Come on now. Yeah, I blame YouTube. We had a good thing going.
We did. We more trophies, more problems. I've said it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. More trophies, more problems.
That's right.
YouTube they never said it. They never said anything until we won.
Exactly. Now here we are. Short intro. Like 9 seconds.
The blasphemy. You got me there. You're like, it's short. It's going to be short this time. I was like, all right. Hey, we're here. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, we are. Let me get my finger up my nose.
Hey, I'm digging for gold here. Oh, man. Well, if you want to follow us on socials, it's going to scroll here in just a minute. We at TroupeStar28, at Coach Burton36 on Twitter, Burton.Corey on Instagram, the same one for Israel on Instagram, at Believe in Dawgs if you want to follow the show, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all of that. We go live, so it is all good. You can find us just about anywhere else. So we are also brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Man, it is the number one spot for all your betting needs. It is they like to wish you a happy new betting year. So that for Bet Online. So it's a great place, man. They got all kind of odds. They got a new and improved website. So you need to go there or go on your mobile device. Perhaps you get a 50% welcome bonus if you just put in the promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. If you put in that, you get that 50% welcome bonus. They will match your deposit. It's a beautiful thing, man. And like I said, it is the number one spot for all your betting needs. They have all the casino games. They have now UFC odds and AFC NFC championship odds. If you want to go and bet some props. If you want to bet these two games, turn it into a parlay or do something crazy like I did on week 18. I did a 16-team parlay, which if I would have hit it would have been $91,000. Lost it in the first game. Lost it in the first game. Yeah.
That'll do it.
Thanks, Broncos. I guess that's what I get for betting on the Broncos, right?
For sure. I love the way that the new website's set up. They have so many different ways you can bet now. You can bet the spread over under, what Vegas has it as. I mean, there's just so many different ways you can do it now. And it's really, really enjoyable. You get to see different ways that they've set everything up. So it's really cool.
Absolutely. Like I said, new and improved website. I can't wait for the Super Bowl odds to come out. And the not the odds, but the prop bets too. I can't wait to play a couple fun prop bets on that. And I'm sure there's going to be some amazing new offers and things like that, promos for the Super Bowl, and then eventually for March Madness when that rolls around. So make sure you go to BetOnline again. Sign up with the promo code BELIEVE BLEAV for 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline. It's where the game starts. So, Israel, we're going to go off topic a little bit today. That's going to be fun. we've got some basketball news, some good news finally, right? Some good news finally.
Finally.
And
I think they listened to us the other night.
They really did. They really did. They played inspired. They played an inspired game. It was actually one of those things where I was just in awe of, like, hey, I didn't want to jinx it. It's like a no hitter. But we played really well. Of course, if you're unsure what I'm talking about, we were victorious over the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the score was 82-76. It was one of those games where Alabama just really never had it going on. For Georgia, the leading scorer was Aaron Cook with 35 points, followed by Cario Aquindo with 31, and Dalen Ridgenall had 26. So you had a bunch of guys that caught fire. Just about everybody that played was in double digits, which is good. Georgia was 44.6% from the field to Alabama's 43. Three-pointers, Georgia was 34%. Alabama's 26%. Free throws, Georgia was at an 80% clip, and Alabama struggled at 65.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Turnovers, it was 19-4. It was Georgia won at 19-14. Had fewer turnovers there. So, I mean, if you look at the stats, it was really quite an even game. Georgia just got hot down the road. So, and I don't know, like, what did you notice with this game? Like, what was the biggest thing that stuck out to you?
I was at our awards bank, so I didn't get to see the whole game, but I saw some highlights, and just the way they played. They came out and played inspired basketball. As you was reading the stats, I mean, you can just see it. I mean, we were better at free throw line. We were better at shots in the field. It was close, but we pretty much led in every category, and that's what you want. I mean, you got your leading scorer scores 35 points. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. I don't think we've had that all season. No, I don't know what happened.
I don't think we've had anybody in our lineup score 35 points combined.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know. But one thing about basketball, same thing goes with football as well. Some nights you're just off, and Alabama was off, and we took advantage of it. But it just seemed, from what I saw, it just seemed that we were just playing better basketball, more team basketball. Hopefully it's not too late, to kind of make a little run here. We'll see. Or we're just going to live on the high and we just beat Alabama.
Yeah, we're
so
feeling
we shall
good.
See.
Yeah, we shall see. I hope it sparks something. I don't know. I mean, is Tom Crean the right guy? I don't know at this point, but at 1-6, there's still a ray of hope, and of course you got the SEC tournament as well, and anything can happen there. But what I really liked from this Georgia team is, again, they took the disaster that was the South Carolina game on Saturday, where they gave up a 26-0 run. Yes. To lose that game, which was pitiful. Like, they played pitiful down the stretch. They were ahead of South Carolina the entire game. They were dominating the boards. They were passing. They were actually playing really good basketball. But down the stretch, they fell apart. And they couldn't hit water if they fell off a jet ski. But in this game, it seemed like they kind of took the same approach and actually had a 12-3 run coming into the second half. They started the second half off with a 12-3 run that kind of got them going a little bit. And so that's the biggest thing. Like, once you can get yourself going and get a little momentum, it actually, like, basketball's a momentum driven sport. You go on these runs, like you saw Saturday with Auburn and Kentucky. Kentucky loses Severe Wheeler for probably 5 minutes of game clock, because he took a big shot. Because they still, I don't know if they practice this at Kentucky, but there's these things called screens, and there's these things called there's this thing called communication. I don't know. This might be new to you, Israel. I don't know. You may not know. It's a thing called communication, right? So if you're getting screened, if you're about to get screened, and you're watching this happen, are you going to yell out "screen"?
Yeah,
Israel, screen. And
I usually tell our guys, right right or left, left, left. So at least you know where the screen's coming from. That's just, I'm old, even when I play with my kids in the gym, there's a screen coming, hey, right, right, right. It lets me know that the screen's coming to his right, left, left is coming to his left. It's real simple.
Yeah. And you just stick your hand out there and just work right through it.
Yeah.
Nope. Severe Wheeler got tattooed like he was going over the middle.
He ran into a brick wall.
And he did. Boy, did he. And so he goes out, and the game's tight. I think Kentucky was even up by 1 at that point. The game was tight. And then he goes out. Auburn goes on like a 14-0 run.
Mm-hmm.
And that game, the complexion of that game just completely changed. So when he came back, it was just there was not much they could do. Auburn already seized the momentum, and they weren't.
Once you get that coach to burn that timeout, it's ball game. Yep. A lot of times it's ball game. If you're on a run, he has to burn that timeout. You got him.
Yep.
Especially if you come out and go on another run right after that.
Mm-hmm. Especially when you're at home, your crowd's in a frenzy, and that's what happened in this game. Yeah, I mean
in the cold.
Yeah, exactly. They camped outside for, but yeah, they're like, it was just another game. No, they didn't camp out for the Georgia game on Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I kind of chalk this up to Alabama. It was a Tuesday game. They had a tough game over the weekend. They've had a tough stretch of games where they haven't been in sync too much. And, this was just all kind of came to a head. The one stat that stood out to me was they were 9 of 34 from three-point land.
At some point, somebody got to stop shooting.
What baffles me is two things. One, they threw up 34 three-pointers.
Yes.
What has basketball become? Secondly, they only hit 9 of them. Like, in a world where basketball is all about the three-pointer, like, that's not good.
Look, if I'm the coach, I'm telling my team, you better not shoot another shot outside the three-point line for the rest of the game. Yeah. After about 15 and we ain't hit one yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, you kind of got to get in the rhythm and stuff too. So after about the 15th three, I think 15's good.
Mm-hmm.
About the 15th three, no, cuz don't you take another shot outside the 3-point line or you were going to come sit next to me.
Yeah.
For the rest of the game.
I'm about to put my old guy hat on for a second, Israel. I'm about to tell you, here, get off my lawn. Back in my day, whatever else you want to know. Back when I consider the 80s and 90s the golden age of basketball. Would you agree with that?
I can agree with that.
So the golden age of basketball was what? Dominated by centers.
And it was people getting beat up every day.
It was people getting beat up. It was a much more physical game. And people that
foul. What was a foul back then?
A foul was
you were bleeding.
Yeah. A foul was you're on the floor.
Yes.
Like if you didn't hit the floor,
sometimes even then it wasn't even a foul.
If you could hear the slap in the upper deck, that they may have called it.
Yes.
But for the most part, I mean, you go in there and you just get destroyed. Like people didn't go in the paint. But people also like the way teams were made up, right? So you had like teams nowadays, they have three-point shooter, and a slasher.
Mm-hmm.
And then just some other random dude to get rebounds, right? Like there's no dynamics there.
No.
Like there's no the way teams were constructed in the 80s and 90s, they had 1 to 2 scorers, right? And when I say scorers, that means you're driving, you're shooting mid-range, you're shooting threes, you can do it all, right? There's not a lot of scores in today's NBA. There's a lot of three-point shooters, there's a lot of slashers, but there's not a lot of guys that can be all-around scorers, like a Kobe Bryant was, like LeBron is, like Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had your shooter, right? So like Steve Kerr, Robert Horry, Ray Allen, those guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had your ass kicker, right? Like Rodman, John Sally, the Davis brothers for the Pacers, Charles Oakley, those guys. They're going to do all they're probably scoring 6 points a game,
Yeah.
They're probably
doing all the dirty work.
They're getting 15 boards, and they're going right to the limit of their fouls. They're doing everything they can to not foul out. And they're probably going to foul out a lot, but they're going to do everything they can not to foul out. But again, they're going to push it right to that limit. And then you had your big man. Then you had your dominant big man who snagged boards, created down low in the paint, got momentum grabbing dunks, jammed on people, blocked shots, and would just dominate. And you
don't see that in basketball anymore.
No. And you had guys like Olajuwon, Shaq, Ewing, those guys that could run the floor as well as big men, but really, like anything in the paint, like they're just dominating. Like Shaq was breaking basketball goals, right? You don't see that. Like you don't see any, like 7-footers now just want to go out and shoot threes. Like basketball right now is a pretty sport.
Yes, it's the biggest finesse sport I've ever seen. I think Tasha Humphrey was talking about it. Shout out to Tasha, great Georgia women's basketball player in her own right. She was saying just the same thing you're saying. There aren't basketball players anymore. You had your point guard. All he did was hand the rock. Your shooting guard and your small forward were pretty much your scorers. Like if you just look at Pippen and Michael Jordan, your shooting guard and your small forward. That's what they were. Your Charles Grants of the world, your power forwards are no more.
Right.
Then your center, that was Rodman, Luke Longley, Shaq,
Ewing.
Olajuwon, Ewing, all those guys. They're non-existent anymore because, like you said, it's a finesse sport. Everybody wants to hit the big shot.
Like you got Joel Embiid, who should be a dominant big man, is out there shooting threes and out there trying to drive the lane from the top of the key. Get your ass down on the block and post somebody up and dunk on somebody. You're 7'1".
We have a sophomore at our school. He's 6'5", and he is soft as tissue paper, wet tissue paper. I was giving him hell today because I watched him literally do nothing. And I said, I'm going to come down there. And I went down there and banged with him. I'm 6'1". This kid's 6'5". I think he's like 220, 230, but he's a big kid. And I rocked him to sleep today. And I was like, I'm an old man. His first thing was, this isn't organized basketball. This is street ball. I was like, this is where you get better. And you're a big man. There's no way I should be down here begging with you, jumping over you. There's no way.
Well, you got that old man strength too, though.
Well, yeah, and he made me mad too, so I had to show him what was up. But that's neither here nor there.
As long as you didn't fire the ball in his head, you're going to end up on YouTube, on Twitter.
A big man. Be a big man. But they don't do that. But he's right. They don't do that anymore. It's finesse sport now. I think that's what's wrong with basketball. I think that's why I don't watch basketball like I did back then too. Is because you sneeze on somebody or you cough on somebody's a foul. Or I don't like the way he touched me and they get a foul. Yeah. I don't like that.
And you know why the Warriors had their little short dynasty run?
Because they shot threes. They didn't go in the paint.
Well, they had Draymond Green who kind of had that. He was, I guess, if Draymond Green is the grimiest guy in the league, then I guess we're in trouble, right? Says something. But like the Spurs, like they had so much sustained success because they had Trey Parker was the distributor. I'm drawing a blank. I just had a brain fart.
Kwame.
Huh?
When Kwame was there.
Kawhi.
Kawhi, that's it.
Kawhi was the scoring small forward. You had Duncan. You had Manu Ginobili. That's who it was. I couldn't think. You had Ginobili was the slasher, was the driver. Kawhi was the all around guy. Duncan. And then you had Bruce Bowen, who was a lockdown specialist. And then
David Robinson was your big man.
Yeah, and David Robinson was your big man. And then when Robinson retired, Tim Duncan took over kind of that big man role, and they kind of had they had LaMarcus Aldridge, and they just had some other. They played like dual power forwards. They kind of did something a little bit different, but they were still built and played old school basketball even into the new era.
You can just look at Pop and tell that he doesn't like the new era of basketball.
He hates it, man. He hates it. He hates
he's
it.
He's that old school coach, and him and Phil, I bet they get together on Sundays and smoke a cigar and drink the bourbon. Is like, man, look at this. They watch ESPN and be like, man, look at this.
Look at this soft crap. This is soft as Charmin Ultra. Yeah. So how does this pertain to Georgia? Well, I think Georgia, honestly, I think Tom Crean came in here and, he did his best. I can't fault him, but it's just not working out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we say this coming off the heels of a win, but we're talking about a miracle win here, and finally he's getting his first conference win in the 7th game, and 45 minutes down the road, there's probably 4 NBA teams in just playing high school basketball in the city of Atlanta, and you can't get one of them.
I mean, if I'm the new head coach, or if I'm Coach Crean right now, I'm going over right next door and talking to Coach Taylor and saying, "Hey, Coach, what can I do?" Because if you watch the girls play, well, take that back, the women's basketball team play, they're dominating. They play old school basketball. They have a big, they have a point guard, they have shooters, they have. That's what they have, and that's why they're winning. That's why they're being successful. I mean, watch South Carolina girls play. They the same thing. Dawn Staley over there, she's doing a great job. If you watch these women teams play, that's what they have. They have a big, they have a scorer, they have a couple slashers. They got the intermediate person that can shoot. I mean, they're doing it right. If I was them, I would go and ask some of these women's basketball teams what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that are getting it right. Yes. Because, they're the ones that understand, okay, we can't just shoot threes because Steph Curry's really good at it. Like, Steph Curry cannot carry a team because he can't drive. Why can't he drive? Because he's 4'11". No, he's not really 4'11", but he's small. He would get crushed. So I just think that teams, if basketball wants to see a resurgence, which, I mean, it's the popularity is starting to kind of come back up. That I guess you're starting to get a new uptick in it. But if I'm Tom Crean, which my days are numbered, honestly. But if I'm the new basketball coach, I figure out a way into Atlanta. All right. You have to relate. You have to relate to these players, especially in the transfer portal era, because they'll be gone in a heartbeat, and they'll go right over to your rivals. They ain't transferring from Georgia to University of Washington. They're going right down the road to Auburn, and they're going right up to Kentucky, and they're going to,
SEC is where it's at.
Exactly. And SEC's become we talked about this on SEC After Dark last night. SEC's become a premier conference in basketball, which hasn't always been the case. But, I think Georgia needs to find a mid-major coach that is young, hungry, innovative, and understands the importance of the different roles in basketball. Doesn't try to play this new school 4-guard crap.
Relationships. And like you said, young, and relationships. Relationships
are the biggest key. If you can just get 5 guys that'll run through a freaking brick wall for you, you're going to be better than 1 in 7 in the conference.
Exactly. And that's it. Just playing, like I said, like we said, Beast of the East, just playing hard. We finally saw them play hard, and look what happened.
Yeah, they won. They beat a team they shouldn't. Alabama was a top team coming into conference play.
Yes, so I mean
they're in a
maybe moving forward, you never know what might happen. We may get some momentum, might save Coach Green's job. I don't think he's a bad coach by any means, but
no, he's not. He's just not right for Georgia at this point.
Results are not showing.
They're not showing. I think the transfers are pretty telling for him. I think the mass exodus for him is the telling part to me. I think if you're Josh Brooks, that has to take a toll. That has to be a big, big factor in his evaluation of Tom Crean. And the fact that these new guys come in and the overall product is uninspiring.
Yes. I think that's it more than anything, the overall product. You're always going to get people leave because they're quote unquote unhappy, as some people say, but some people just want a different environment to be around. And that's totally fine. But like you said, the mass exodus and the fact that we haven't gotten better. Of course, you lose some of your top people. I understand that. But are you getting better game by game? This is the first game that I've seen us get better.
I feel like we're going backwards up until Tuesday.
That's the telling tale. Mm-hmm. As an AD, I'm looking at, are we getting better each game? Are we developing? Are our kids learning? If that's the case, and we just don't have the talent right now, that's a different story. Mm-hmm. But we're not getting better, and that's the problem.
But then again, on the flip side of that, Israel, we're the University of Georgia. There better be talent. Don't tell me you can't find talent. We're the University of Georgia. We're good. Right now, we're good at everything. Baseball's number 16 preseason poll. The women are freaking dominating. Like, don't tell me you can't recruit basketball. The women are absolutely destroying. The only team they're not better than right now is South Carolina.
And there ain't nobody else too much better.
South Carolina is top in the country. So that's not a bad person to be. That's not a bad team to be trailing. But don't tell me basketball can't be played at Georgia, because it absolutely can. And you have to show that, hey, I can go and recruit these kids out of Atlanta and do something. You had Anthony Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? Nothing. You had Severe Wheeler and Katie Johnson on the same team. They're killing it in their destinations. Did nothing with it. Like, at what point for Tom Crean, and again, he's not a bad coach. Look he had some great teams up at Marquette. He had a pretty good run for Indiana, and Indiana was coming off probation. They were coming off some big sanctions there. So there are some factors with what happened to him at Indiana. But I think he's a good coach. Again, I just don't think the recruiting piece of it, especially in this league, I just don't think he's there. Like Mark Fox is a good schematic coach. He knows the game of basketball. But again, he just could not recruit. He's in Nevada, I think, right?
Look, you got to send your millions out. You got to start getting tape. You got to start going to some of these AAU games. You got to start meeting kids. You got to get some help, because if you don't, I just look at the women's basketball team, for example. All of those girls play AAU ball somewhere. I remember seeing them as they were being recruited. They all did. Mm-hmm. So how did Coach Taylor and her crew find those girls?
They got on the trail. There's just no.
It ain't rocket science.
No, it ain't. It really ain't. So they gotta. It just. I just don't understand it. Like, I just don't get it. And the excuses, there are plenty, but nonetheless, got to get better as that goes. But glad to see us get a win. Glad to see us at least not go winless in the conference. And maybe, and I hope I'm wrong. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope that I am wrong, because that would mean Georgia basketball would get to the standard that every other program is upholding now at the University of Georgia. So I hope I'm wrong. It's
time for the men's basketball team to pull their weight. Every other sport has. Gymnastics gotten better. Softball just got a new coach, and they're about to go bananas. Soccer's gotten better. Baseball's ranked in the top 20 for the first time in a long time, and they're continuously getting better. Mm-hmm. So, it's about time for the men's basketball program to get it together. We just won national championship, which is also going to bring a little bit more excitement to all the programs. So, it's time.
It's time. It's time. Well, last week when we saw you, we were talking about Jermaine Burton. We were talking about, the impact of that and the backlash of that. And that got a lot of attention. So I want this to get even more attention. Kierce Jackson is coming back.
Mm.
That Israel, I think the impact of him coming back far outweighs the impact of Jermaine Burton leaving.
For sure. And I tweeted this to I tweeted to. Who am I thinking about? Anyways, I tweeted it out that with Carey's coming back, that just shows you that the culture and everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you get a kid who was hurt, came back, a consistent punt returner for us, even through injury. Could have gone, if he wanted to, could have transferred. He decides to come back. It just shows you that there's nothing wrong with the program.
No,
and that also reaffirms what we said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Burton wanted to go somewhere where he could be featured a little bit more, and that's totally fine. Mm-hmm. It's okay. His end goes different than anybody else's.
Hey, hate to lose him. It's a really big piece. It's a big piece, but I don't know if you know this. Georgia does recruit. They recruit quite well.
The transfer portal. We're going to get some at the transfer portal,
and the transfer portal is going to be kind to us here in just a little bit. So, if you're one of those that saw Jermaine Burton transfer, and you hit that panic button, a little premature.
Mm-hmm.
A little premature. Now, I hate that he went to Bama because it's Bama, right? And it's like they need another wide receiver, right? But again, I don't fault them for wanting to find somewhere to go and thrive. But again, it is what it is. So Burton is done. He's an Alabama guy now. He's a Roll Tider. So Tide Talk podcast, Jake Thomas, Stacey Blackwood, they will talk about him. We will talk about him on SEC After Dark because we cover the entire conference. We will not talk about him on Beast of the East because he's not in the East anymore. We're not going to talk about him here anymore because he's not here. But Kearis Jackson is. And he brings leadership to a very, very young wide receiver room, which is really what I love because he's going to be the guy that they all look up to. He's still a playmaker. He's going to be that much more healthy because he spent all last season trying to get back to 100%. But his injury did not allow him to bounce back that fast. Same with Pickens. Pickens was not 100%, not even close, probably. That's why he probably wasn't as much of a factor as he probably could have and should have been in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that, but the threat of having him out there is valuable. And if he's cleared, why not? Why not give it a shot, right? But Kearis coming back I think is going to help solidify his spot in Dog Nation. I think it's going to help him in the draft because he can do things from the slot. He can do things from the outside. He does things in the kick return, punt return avenue. I think he's going to have a chance to be fully healthy and showcase his skills and lead a room that desperately needs veteran leadership. A.D. Mitchell is going to be a true sophomore, but he's still young. He's still very, very young. And then you're going to have all these new guys. Arian Smith doesn't have a whole lot of playing time because of injury. He's going to need some guidance. Marcus Rosemy-Jackson, he's going to need some guidance, right? These guys are going to need some guidance as they all kind of get healthy at the same time. So we will be just fine. And, of course, inevitably when the new guy from the transfer portal comes in, whoever that is, they're going to need some guidance too.
Yes, I think about it.
The guy to do it.
I think about when I went to Georgia, you had Muhammad Massaquoi, Kenneth Harris, D'Amico Goodman, T.J. Gartrell, Sean Bailey. All those guys were the older group. So they were able to teach us things, teach me things when I got there. Now just imagine if all those guys weren't there. You got a room, me, Tavares King, Rentavious Wooten, Marlon Brown.
The ball carrier, he may go.
Yes. So, you got All of us in there, Michael Bend, all of us are in
Yeah.
there after a while. You know, without the guidance of those guys before us, I mean, we'd be lost.
Right.
And I think it's great, you know, even if it's just one guy, you know, with Jackson coming back, I mean, I think that's great. I think AD is going to be great. Lab McConkey is going to be great, but they're still young. Arian Smith's coming back. We got a couple that we're fixing to pick up.
Eric Gilbert, I think comes
I
back.
think Eric Gilbert's going to come back. So, I mean, we still got Brock Byers and all those guys too to kind of make up that room. But at the same time, you know, there's nothing like that veteran leadership that comes with a guy who's been there, seen it, you know, and you can tell he has a lot of respect from his teammates as well. So I'm glad that when I saw he was coming back, you know, I tweeted immediately, "Go Dogs," because I mean that's a huge pickup. I was a little worried that he was going to dip out too, which because he can. He's already graduated, so I mean, I'm not mad at him, and I'm really, really glad that he's back to lead this wide receiver room. Whoever the new receiver coach may be is going to need some help.
I'm hearing it.
We all know that receivers are the most emotional players on the football field.
DBs have to be.
They're a close second. We are some very, very hard people to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
I say Brian we because I'm one of them.
Yeah, you are one of them. You're a diva. You're a diva.
I am at times.
Yeah. As you drink your Mr. Pibb.
Mm-hmm.
They still make that stuff?
Man, I hadn't had a soda in so long, and it's delicious right now.
You're on a no soda diet? Is that what I hear?
Yeah, I drink Mountain Dew during the season, but I never drink soda again as soon as football season is over with. But my mom ordered a case, and it's still sitting in my garage. So I said, I'm gonna go crack one of these open, and it's so good.
My wife tells me I have to lay off the sodas. I'm the opposite, and I'm like cranking them down. Although I did drink almost a gallon of water today too, so that's good.
Ooh, check you out.
Exactly. So, but I heard Brian McClendon's going to be the new guy.
That's what I've been hearing too. I think that's a great pickup as well. He gets to come home.
Pickup. And I hope whatever differences he and Kirby had, they'll put him aside.
They were mad at each other. They had beef.
They had a little beef, I think. You know, I don't think McClendon appreciated how Kirby was. I think it was more on McClendon's end. I don't think he appreciated how Kirby was, I guess, talking about Georgia and him and all that stuff. There was back when Kirby got hired, I think there was some ill will there, I think.
I was about to say, because Kirby was coaching when that 2005 year, right? When BMAC was there. He was a player.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it happened after that while Kirby was at Bama.
I got you.
I think it was when Kirby was at Bama. They were, you know how Kirby is with his recruiting.
Hey, man.
Yeah. Guess
it's a competition. Recruiting is a competition as well.
He kind of took it personally, from what I heard. But obviously that is long gone. That's in the rearview, which is good. Because McClendon is a phenomenal dude. I was there when he became a GA, 06, 07. I was starting to leave. I was a recruiting assistant there. The 07 year, when TK and Brandon Boykin and those guys were being recruited, I was there that year. I remember picking up TK from the airport, or not the airport because he didn't fly in, but I remember, during games, I would talk to all the guys on the sideline and just kind of meander through. I did most of the film stuff for the recruiting, but I remember on game days it was kind of all hands on deck for official visits and stuff. So I'd pick people up from the airport. I would interact and mingle with people on the sidelines and stuff like that, and in the recruiting box. So that was kind of what I did, and Tavares was one of the guys I interacted with. And so, again, I knew we were in good shape, when he came, and then, followed his career. So that was a lot of fun. But McClendon was a guy that in the office we'd chop it up. He'd ask me about guys and about recruits and stuff like that. We'd chat, and McClendon's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's a great coach. Tried to keep me on my toes, but I kind of waver a little bit. But he's a great coach, great recruiter, great friend of mine now. Some of the things that he taught me as far as, the coaching aspect, discipline aspect, I still use today as I coach today as well. So, I think it'll be a great hire in the long run. You got him, who's a great recruiter. You got Dale McGee, who's a great recruiter as well. You got both of those guys who have done a phenomenal job at Georgia recruiting anyway. It would be great.
You know what's interesting, and we dove into this a little bit last night, but the way college staffs are being structured, if you really kind of look at it, the on-the-field guys are starting to all become recruiters. And then all your X's and O's guys are the analysts. So it kind of like that whole structure now kind of frees up the on-the-field guys to recruit more. Yes,
the budget now,
it's
especially brilliant. when you see how many people Florida's hiring right now. The support staff is huge now. You got your GA still, but you're getting high quality coaches to come in just to be analysts. You got Buster Faulkner on staff. Yeah, you got Muschamp on staff.
They just hired Bobo. They just hired.
Yeah, you got Bobo. You got Jancic, who was on staff, but who's been a D1 defensive coordinator, who's now going to LSU. So you got all these guys who are top-notch coaches just coming and being analysts, which is, like you said, frees up all the on-the-field coaches to get to know the players, because a lot of times you don't get to see. I know when I was being recruited, I didn't get to see Coach Eason a lot, but I would always see one of the analysts that came by or the GA that came by, things like that. So I think it's really good. It's a dang good recruiting pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's a pretty awesome deal. But yeah, they hired Coach Bobo. That was official. But I just thought that was interesting. So and looking at the staffs and analyzing the staffs, I wanted to get another chance to make fun of Florida. Are you the game changer coordinator? Did you see that? All the goofy names that he has for his guys.
I saw that. I don't know what the game-changing coordinator does, but
you really have to kind of read. You have to read deep into the description to find out it's just the special teams coordinator.
Oh, I never would have guessed that. I thought it was like the dude who gets the chain or like the belt or the shoulder pads and puts it on. That's what I thought it was.
Like for Butch Jones, the guy that held with the trash can the whole time.
Yeah,
I thought it was that guy. Like that's what it comes off as, right? But no, it's just a special teams guy. I get it. You're trying to be fun, but that's just cheesy, right?
Game changing coordinator. Okay, now I see it. Now, okay, I got you.
Like your
special teams can change the game.
They can't. But you're Florida. You don't have to do stuff like that.
Hey, he's trying something different. He's.
I know.
He's thinking outside the box, and I like it.
Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. It's cheesy. Get off my lawn. I don't know. It's just because it's Florida. It's cheesy, right? If now Kirby's going to do it, I'm going to sit here with my foot in my mouth. But I don't know. I just think it's cheesy. But whatever works for them. If they start winning, shit, name them whatever the hell you want to name them. Name them.
There you go. I don't know.
Dwight Schrute, assistant to the head coach. Who knows? Who cares, right? But yeah, so that's that was thought that stood out to me. We got a little bit of time left. Courtney put us on the clock because she knows you and I could ramble on all night. Playoffs. How did you like those games last week?
I loved them. I loved each and every one of them. I'm looking forward to the championship games this weekend.
Who you got?
BT Dubs, Bet Online got me this week. Way to go, Bills. I had the Bills winning, which they were winning, and then all of a sudden it went bye-bye. And then I had the Bucks winning, which they came back to tie it, and then ended up pissing down their leg because the moment was too big. So this weekend, I think the Rams
boy,
get over the hump and they beat San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
If the defense keeps playing like they're playing, Garoppolo doesn't stand a chance.
No, Garoppolo's going to die.
I think if they stop Debo, they'll win. Which is that's going to be hard, but I think if you neutralize Garoppolo, they'll win. And on the other side, it's a tough one because the Chiefs didn't play defense. The Titans sacked Joe Burrow, a.k.a. Joe Shiesty. They sacked him 9 times and still lost. So, and Jamar Chase is a better receiver, in my opinion, than Davis from the Bills. And we saw what he did to the corner, made him fall. And pissed down his leg too. So I want to take Cincinnati, but it's really hard to beat Patrick Mahomes and that offense. So Bengals are going to have to play defense. Their defense is better.
Bengals can. They're the best third down defense in the league. They have a pretty good defensive front. Obviously, it's hard to play. It's hard to play in the secondary in the NFL, just in general. But they're just so dynamic offensively with Joe Shiesty and Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, C.J. Uzamo, whatever, however you pronounce it. I like the Bengals. Yeah, that guy. I like the Bengals. I mean,
I really do.
We can't discount T.
Higgins, actually.
Yeah, we can't discount T. Higgins either. Like, he's the number 2. He was drafted to be the number 1. Now he's the number 2. That tells you where they're at. And I love Patrick Mahomes as much as the next guy. I think he's a great quarterback. He's elite. Travis Kelce, elite. Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, elite speed. But that defense is suspect, and they have it. Is. They couldn't stop Gabriel Davis. They couldn't stop Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox, Devin Singletary. Like Beasley. They had a hard time with Buffalo's offense, which is really good in its own right, but a lot of it is scheme and creativity with those guys. With Brian Daboll, there's a ton of talent. I mean, Zach Taylor is a bright mind in and of himself. God, I can't talk. Can't say that phrase, but he's an offensive genius himself. But he has the talent. Like they have better talent.
He's got some young talent too, boy.
He does.
Young. He's got some young guys that are hungry. This is year 2. And they're already in the AFC Championship game. So I mean,
Arrowhead's a tough place, though.
It is. I think you can't let the crowd get to you, which the Bills did a great job of not letting that happen, especially offensively. They didn't even spend a timeout because the crowd was too loud, which is huge in a game like that, playing on the road. So I think if they can keep Joe Burrow upright, he'll have a field day because their defense is 10 times better than the Bills' defense as far as that aspect of the game goes.
Yeah, and I like the Rams. I really love their defensive game plan against Tampa, where they were moving those guys all around, stunting, blitzing.
Yes.
I mean, they knocked the hell out of Tom Brady.
But we can't – the one thing about the Rams is once you get up, you got to stay up. I think they got up and they felt comfortable.
Same with the 49ers. They're both the same team in that regard. Once you get up, you get comfortable. And you
cannot let that Tom Brady just keep playing. You got to continue to hit him, piss him off, and then you win the football game. What'd you do? You let him off the hook. He kept letting him off the hook. Can't turn the ball over.
And the good news for San Francisco is Dak and Jimmy G are the same dude. So they let Dak off the hook, and Dak let them off the hook. So the Rams aren't going to do that.
One thing about it, the Jimmy G, he just can't do it. He's not good enough to make the same mistakes and actually come back with the football game. If the Rams go up 27-3, they're going to win 27-3 because he can't lead them down the field. Brady can.
He's not that dude. He is not that dude, and that's
You're not
why
the guy, pal.
You're not the guy, and that's why they drafted Trey Lance. You're not the guy, Jimmy G.
Yeah, you can tell because they keep giving the ball to Debo Samuel and everybody else.
Debo was the guy. Debo was that guy. Jimmy G ain't. And I like Kyle Shanahan, but he's going to have to.
I love Kyle Shanahan. I love the way that he's using the 13 personnel, 12 personnel look. I mean, I love the way he's running counter front side, but making it look like he's going backside. I love everything about it.
So creative, like him and LaFleur, McVay. Those guys are. I love those guys. Those guys.
Even though he looks like he smokes a pack of Newports and just drink coffee every day now, but
surfs for fun.
Yes, with the flat bill, I love it. Mm-hmm. I love the look.
Yeah, I do too. It's cool. And McVay's got his own swag, and so does Matt LaFleur, who's no longer in the playoffs. But yeah, I like the Rams. I want the Rams to win. I think they're due. I think Rams Bengals would be an awesome Super Bowl. That's what I'm going to predict, even though Arrowhead's a tough place to play. That's the Super Bowl that I want, is Rams Bengals, and then after that, I don't care who wins. Because this
is going to be a battle of two great quarterbacks, two great defenses. I mean, it's going to be pretty even.
Yeah,
it'll be even. Guys are even across the board.
Yep.
You got Kupp, Beckham. I mean, you got
Beckham,
Chase,
Van Jefferson. You got Chase, Higgins. I forget who their number 3 is, but he's
that's
pretty
great.
good.
You got Mixon, Sonny Michel, and Florida State. What's
Cam Akers.
Cam Akers. That's it.
Bengals have the advantage in the run game, but
it's going to be very even. That's what I like. I want to see a game like that.
Yeah, and then two great defenses. Leonard Floyd coming off the edge, Von Miller coming off the other edge, Aaron Donald up the middle, and then they'll twist them. And then they'll put Aaron Donald as the wide 5 technique and rush him off the edge. So it's pretty good. Well, our timer went off a long time ago. We're into overtime. We're going to flip a coin, Courtney, see who wins this one. No. So we are this was a fun deal. We diagnosed some basketball, right? We gave you the winning formula, Israel, didn't we?
We did.
So maybe they'll listen to us again, and maybe they'll win on Saturday or Sunday whenever they play.
2 football coaches gave you the winning formula for a basketball team.
Is that bad?
I think it's
that
good.
Is kind of bad.
I think it works for everybody.
It works though. It works for me. It works for me, right? And if you use it, great. You don't have to give me credit. But anyway, you can find us. It is scrolling now down on the bottom. You can find us Twitter, IG, Facebook Live, YouTube, all of that stuff. It's scrolling down below. Find us, subscribe, comment, follow, all of that stuff. If you really want to go to Twitter follow, just look directly beside me over here. This guy. Israel Troupe. He's
I'm funny every once in a while.
He got in some pretty good battles here lately.
I did.
Just trying to calm these Georgia fans down, man. We're so like we just won a national championship and we still have our panties in a bunch. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot of excitement, but we gotta simmer down. Everybody just simmer down.
Simmer down. So that being said, we are the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, also coming at you on Brinks TV. We're presented by betonline.ag. We wish you a very good weekend. Hopefully you enjoy the NFL games this weekend. Hopefully Georgia comes away with the win on the hardwood, men and women, and we hope everything goes well. We hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here next week, and we will talk about it all. Signing day is next week, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you back here next week. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
This is the Georgia Dogs podcast on the